to understand. So whether it's running workshops or projects or things to actually get people to understand that it's a good thing. So you can't just bust into a rural area, hand a person a phone, an application, and tell them this will change your life without first giving them that process of understanding. So I just thought that was an important point to make.
Okay.
Just for the rest of the people, Sharif was using 5 crore. 1 crore is 10 million. So 5 is 50 million people in India need blood at any point of time. So just for the rest of the people to understand the magnanimity.
There's a lot of things which we didn't understand what he was saying. And that's the reason why Gloria was actually saying, maybe we need a workshop and go much slower to understand what he was talking about.
Just react.
Do you want to translate other aspects of his
No, I think people understood. I mean.
Yes. Okay. Good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So the point that I wanted to make is that we work in many remote areas where there is no basic literacy, and we always think that when you're taking a computer or a mobile, don't they need a first layer of literacy before they get into the second layer of literacy? And this is very important for anybody who like or who think that technology can do wonders, and who also do not think that technology can really cannot do anything, or pedagogy and all that. We have experimented over a period of time that if the broadband is there, audio-visual medium is there, then you do not need any basic literacy to hop into a new medium. You literally do not. The reason is that it has to be audio-visual, seamless connectivity with broadband. As soon as you have that one, you just say the first click YouTube and second click some Google and all that, and after that it is like peer learning, you know. You then start learning from each other. So this whole, audio-visual medium, the natural medium which technology has created, the new medium of knowing, learning, or transmitting information. I want to, break this myth that if there is a broadband and remote areas, you do not really need a basic literacy to take place. You can really, you do not need to have a basic literacy to take place. You directly can go into digital literacy without having knowing ABCD or alphabets, immediately. Not that they won't know, but you don't need that to start.
No. You can do this, but you have to figure out which chair you want to take. And since these people are very, we're very territorial. One of the people, so David, you want to clear your chair, and Gary, you want to sit down here? Yes? Go there and take responsibility for intervening.
Take the mic as well.
No, he gets the other mic.
I know. Just a comment. To illustrate that it's not just adults. I mean, the prime example that everybody uses, children. Children jump into technology, will use the remote before the parents. Absolutely. They'll be able to program things because there's no barrier. Absolutely. And it's all audiovisual. It's a click and learn. And so I just want to concur and say, look, it's a global phenomena that good design drives engagement and learning.
What he actually was talking about is oral cultures move into the audiovisual age without the break of being textual.
But it's a very human trait, which is cross-cultural, that children will adopt, and absolutely. They can. Certain cultures have more proclivity towards that than others, but absolutely.
Also, I think just a line between the both of the new learners of digital are as good as kids. They don't have to unlearn anything.
Before Osama continues to be smart, we have here somebody. The good thing is Gary has to stay here because it's part of the game that your chair is already taken. You cannot return. Okay, go ahead.
All right, I'm Miller from University of Jaffna, Sri Lanka.
Say your name slowly.
I'm Miller Alexander.
Miller Alexander, okay.
From University of Jaffna, Sri Lanka. And as Mr. Aziz said, blood donation is our project also. But they are doing for the smartphones, and we are, as our friend said, for the rural place, we're using the USSD technology to interconnecting people. So we're using the LBS technology to finding a little coverage, only in the coverage people, and let you know there is a blood donation needed, and we make it fast, this process, by USSD technology for everyone. Can I say that? Yeah.
With the help of this platform, now we got these youngsters, so we are starting our mobile application in Sri Lanka also. So we
Very
can
good.
not only thank you so much for this platform. And today we got our people from Sri Lanka as well as Nepal. So by the next 2 months, we are going to start our all the applications to overcome this problem in Sri Lanka, both in Sri Lanka and Nepal countries.
Thanks to this progress, it's already succeeded on its project. It's a winning project. So we have a contribution by our USSD part. So join together, India versus Sri Lanka. There is nothing versus. So we interconnect this. And for Sri Lanka, we are using the mobile application from their part, and our USSD interconnected. Going to promote the friends to support in Sri Lanka as soon as possible. Maybe before this year end. Thank you.
In classical music, you call this a duet.
Kind of.
This is what you call the technology rap.
Yeah. The
Okay.
South-Indian collaborations.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing. It's very important to start thinking about other areas and other disciplines to take into consideration. This specific issue related to health. I don't know if any of you have read the book Nudge. Yeah, a behavioral economics book. It's very interesting. And so if you start thinking about ways in which you can nudge people towards better behavior, you can send a text message to someone and let them know that this is important, or let them know that somebody needs their blood. But if you think about the way in which you say that message, the moment in which it's delivered, and there's a lot of experimental studies that are being done on how to involve psychology and all of these different disciplines into thinking about it. So I think it's something important for all of you who are developing content.
Kabir joined us here, and he needs a microphone, and I'm happy to tell everybody else who has nothing to say to leave the circle. But it's Kabir, please.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Kabir from Nigeria. I just wanted to learn, well, there are three. It's interesting. I wasn't actually meant to make a submission.
Speak loudly into the microphone.
It's interesting. I wasn't actually meant to make a submission. My senior here was meant to, but I got interested and I wanted to talk about three things. The first one was I wanted to lend my voice to what you mentioned about how people can easily transit from how people can quickly learn technology. And I wanted to give you an example that I'm aware of. I'm part of the team that implemented the tablet of knowledge in Osun, Nigeria. And what we found was that in our overall program, we actually had a change management plan. We had a plan to teach the students. But we wanted to roll out the tablets first before training for X reasons. What we found was that it didn't take the students time before they started using the tablets, even better than what we had planned. In fact, it got to a stage where they figured out how to put content that we didn't want them to put on it. So we actually learned from them. So it's amazing how people who you think are not that knowledgeable are that sound. My dad says this. My dad says the rural area, the rural people are smart. You may not know, but they actually know what they want. You just have to give them the right solution in that direction. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say speaks to what you raised. Your point was very sound. We easily get lost in the sophistication of technology and then forget the majority of the people who actually don't have access to it. And we think more of the smartphones, etc.
I'm going to hold this for you.
Thank you. The smartphones, etc. And you're right. How do we solve the problems of the majority of the world? Because indeed, the majority are poor. And that's why it's been nice to hear a few interesting things, the things we've done, the thing I've heard a lady from Ghana do regarding community health. And I think what I wanted to raise in that direction was that there are times when solution is not really about the use of sophisticated technology. It's about solving a concise social problem with the simplest technology. It may just be text message, quite interestingly. It may be voice. It may just be a manual process. So that's it. The last thing I wanted to add was, I think the answer to what you said concerning Africa, the relatively poor, is that I think we should encourage the development of more innovation centers in these places because they are the best to solve the problems, quite interestingly. The solutions don't really come from, the best solutions come from the people. So I want to put it to the floor that we should endeavor to help the development of innovation centers. They don't have to be sophisticated. I hope that helps. Yeah.
You get this handed back for stopping.
Okay, I'm done.
You have a last intervention.
Then I'm going to relinquish my chair.
And then you have to find which chair you want to take outside.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Actually, Kabir, I want just to add to that. I think we talked about nudge and the ability to push information, but I think we as developers think too much about the fact that we know so much and that we are going to transfer our wealth of knowledge to the multitudes. And I think what you're saying, and I think what is the takeaway for most of the opportunities here, is to facilitate. And it's that two-way street that drives huge engagement. And with health, for example, if you can create a two-way sort of compliance messaging with somebody, as opposed to just notification of take your meds, for example, which happens in Africa all the time. You know, compliance is a big issue. So if you can trade two-way, if you just tell somebody take your meds, there'll be no compliance. If you say to somebody take your meds and they have to reply, so there's a two-way street, compliance goes up 100%. And so it's all about creating the ability for them to interact and create knowledge in a two-way street. So I agree 100%. And I will relinquish my chair.
Step-by-step knowledge is a good way of doing it. Please.
Yeah. I'm Maninder Bajwa from India, and we work in the education sector. So just what the discussions are, I just wanted to add one point, that we believe any product, like what you said as well, technology is just one small element to it. It's actually the whole environment. You know, in learning, the most important is the teachers. The technology plays a small role, the content, you know, and the whole ecosystem as to how the child is learning and engaging with the teacher, with the technology, and with the content. Where us as developers, where we forget is we forget the most important part, which is the engagement of the child. You know, not putting anyone down, but there have been products out there in the market where you have an interactive whiteboard, and the teacher has the content, and the teacher's just playing the video, pausing it, and playing the next video. I don't see any advantage because the children are just sitting there and staring a big, huge 78 inches screen. You know, so if we can have products where we are involving the whole engagement of everyone, you know, then I guess it'll be the right way to go.
The key thought coming from here, strengthening from there, and so on is we have the opportunity now to make media interactive. The issue is to make also the developmental process interactive, and then to go actually into a kind of social organization and culture where interactivity is actually a means for including everybody in the developmental process of maturing and ripening and actually growing. And I think this is something which Roberto wanted to talk about.
No, I want to add one point in the security point of view to this topic, because information is always too powerful, no? And in the wrong hands, it can lead to things we don't desire. For example, now if you go to a bar with your Facebook app, with the graph search, you can find single woman, 25 years, that like Game of Thrones, that are studying in my university, that are in this bar right now. You can find them exactly on Twitter, maybe tomorrow, even the table they are sitting. And if we add the information, the medical record information, we maybe can find who have my same blood type, or maybe I can know who in the bar have a non-desirable medical record, and I can decide who to meet, no, in the bar, because I want healthier children, no. So if we already have discrimination in this world, with that kind of data or with information we are sharing or using in apps, also in rural areas, I don't know, and it's the question I want to ask you, what are the negative externalities of connecting the world in this way?
Okay, we will come back to these negative externalities, but first we have 2 more people to speak. David, you want to brief very briefly, please?
Yes, I think the current theme here is, I've seen it where the most successful social impact ventures forget about technology for the first phase of their development efforts. They totally forget about technology. What they do is they take an anthropological approach to this. To really make a social impact, you have to understand what the impact is going to be on your target market. Whether it's trying to make money or trying to make social impact, the same thing. And it goes into this whole theme today from the keynote speaker that spoke about the tea auction and how important it is to be immersed and understand their behaviors. And then to Badir talking about the children, where he can't just communicate and just have them fill out surveys. He has to actually sit there with them and play with them and share that environment. Now, when we talk about social impacts in rural areas, unless you lived in that culture, lived at that rural area and share the experience, the first suggestion is just to go there and live with them. I recently worked with a social impact venture that had a mobile app, was going to try to have positive impact in a rural community, and they had a very interesting approach. They went there for a month and lived in the community. There was a progression. First of all, they didn't use any technology. They just sat there and observed, and made notes. And it was all about value systems and what different people in the community valued. And they watched and observed, and then they progressed. So the next thing they did, they didn't give a smartphone. They introduced a regular phone, and they got somebody in the community that spoke the language, understand the culture, to call certain families that had the phone and find out and throw certain questions in. And the person would be there observing who answered the phone, okay, based on the topic, what were the questions that were asked, then when a decision has to be made, who was part of the decision making, okay, who ultimately made the decision. So this was an anthropological way to do it.
You had your presentation, I think, yesterday. It's over. Therefore, you pass the microphone on to the next person. Please. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nicholas. I'm coming from Paris, and I'm a designer, so I'm not a tech guy, I guess, but I'm interested in technology, but not technology for the technology. It's more technology for what makes sense. So I'm really interested about environmental issues and social issues as well. And I really like what you said about the rural people have knowledge and they are smart. And I think it's also something that is going
His name is Kabir.
Kabir.
So you and your name is what?
Nicholas.
Kabir, this is Nicholas.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's talk. So I think there is something that is going to be lost. It's knowledge of this kind of people, like endangered species, like the bird I'm wearing this T-shirt. It's also people that are not being focused on, and they have really great knowledge. For example, how to